So let's jump into something new. We're going to talk about switch statements. And switch statements are kind of like if statements in that they are conditionals, but they're a little bit more complicated and also, I would say, a little bit more useful whenever you're dealing with a large number of conditions that you want to test for and mess around with. So if I just type in the word switch into Swift, it'll actually autofill with a switched if statement, and I want to hit return and get that so that we can see the pattern. So this is a great pattern. Just ignore these errors here. What this is saying is we have switch, value, and then we have, just like a function or an if statement, we have these curly braces and our code exists within that. So how this works is we say switch, and then we give it a variable name. So we could say integer, and what this is saying is check the value of integer. And then the case, so these, you write a whole bunch of different cases. The cases are saying, if it's equal to this, then do this code. So if it's equal to 1, do this code. If it's equal to 2, do this code. If it's equal to 3, do this code. And then lastly, we have what's called a default statement. And this is basically just to avoid any problems with your switch statement. You have to have this in order for the code to run properly. So let's actually write a switch statement here. So I'm going to write a switch statement for integer. So we are testing this variable up here called integer. We're checking the value of it. We're saying switch through the different values of integer and tell me what it's worth right now. If it's equal to 1, we'll execute some code that says it's 1. Let's write another case. Case 2, it's 2. I know I'm forgetting an apostrophe here. Let's add that in. Case 3. So what I'm saying is, what's the value of integer? If the value of integer is equal to 1, print this. If the value of integer is equal to 2, print this. If the value of integer is equal to 3, print this. So it's like we're writing a bunch of functions all at once. So I'll write it's 3. Let's do one more. Case 4. It's 4. All right, and then in the default code, we need to have a final sort of statement of if it's not equal to any of these, what do we do? So that's what default is for. So if it's not equal to any of these, we could just print it's not equal to any of them. Or what you'll see almost always in programming, you'll see that there's a default case of what's called break. And break is a method that exists within Swift and within many other languages that basically says stop the program from running. That's just kind of a best case scenario. You want to make sure that you can, stop the program from running and you don't want to crash anything. So very common to use break. Let's not use break. Let's just say it's not equal to any of them. All right, so let's run this and we'll see which one prints. Well, it's not equal to any of them prints because it's not. Let's change this value from that to 1 and rerun our code again. And what we should see is it's 1 prints. These others don't, because it's testing what's the value of integer. Okay, the value is 1, so print it's 1. Let's change it to 3 just to test one last time. I'll hit run, and it should print it's 3, and it did over here. It's 3. So you could imagine where you could use switches to write these large statements that say if it's equal to this, then do this. If it's equal to this, then do this, and create a bunch of different properties. Your assignment for this week is going to be creating a rock, paper, scissors game, and you're going to be using switches, or I would assume you would use switches. You can really approach it whatever way you like to check whether or not someone's won or lost the game. So you might have case 1, they won the game, they do this. Case 2, they tied the game, do this. Case 3, they lost the game, do this. And then a default case. So think about how you can use switches to really simplify your code compared to using, 100 if statements.